this Dark History Tarot reading, I'm going to be tapping into the energy of the event known as the sinking of the Titanic. So I've decided to do a tarot reading regarding this event because the narrative that we've been given doesn't seem to align with some of the other narratives out there that could have taken place. So I did put out a video recently called "What Does the Titanic Have to Do with the Federal Reserve?" Now, if you are unaware of the conspiracy around the sinking of the Titanic and the establishment of the Federal Reserve being hand in hand, then you can go back and check out that video either before or after watching this video, just so you can be filled in on what the actual conspiracy is regarding the sinking of the Titanic. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and see what the cards have to say about this event. I'll be starting with the Rider-Waite deck. I'm just going to give it a few shuffles, and then I will be drawing 3 cards just to first pick up on the energy of the event known as the sinking of the Titanic. So what we want to know here is what energy led up to the sinking of the Titanic. All right, I'm going to give it one more shuffle, then I'll cut the deck and draw the cards. First, we have the Hermit reversed. Second card. This one is the 6 of Wands, but it's reversed. I already know why this one would come up reversed. It's because the Titanic never made it to the other port. Never made it to America. Was never successful. We also have the 9 of Pentacles reversed. So there is a sense of impatience involved here. So starting with the Hermit card being reversed, I believe that that could kind of have a double meaning. Meaning that there is possibly more than one person involved in this. We have the 6 of Wands reversed, indicating the ship didn't make its, voyage. And the 9 of Pentacles reversed, proving that the energy in the situation has something to do with the sense of urgency, but urgency in the sense that is impatient, if you know what I mean. So when we're impatient, we do crazy things because we're trying to control the outcome or to control what happens. It's more of that kind of energy than it is about having to wait, if you know what I mean. All right. Now I'll just shuffle the Deviant Moon deck a few times. I just want some clarity on the Hermit reversed here. That was the least clear mental image I have from those 3. So with the Deviant Moon, I'm just going to give a few shuffles asking what's up with the Hermit reversed. Now we got the Queen of Wands. This one came out reversed as well. So with the Queen of Wands, she's normally, when she's upright, it's like she does not care what other people think, right? At all. But with this Queen of Wands coming in reversed, it's almost the opposite of that, right? So this queen would care what people think. Let's pull the next 2. We got Page of Cups and Wheel of Fortune. So, along with that, so the Page of Cups is kind of aligning with this one, because I feel like this sense of surprise emotionally came from the Titanic sinking. The whole world was surprised, actually, because it was known as the unsinkable ship. Finally, we got the Wheel of Fortune card. But in this Deviant Moon deck, as you can see, there is a woman who looks like she's actually turning the wheel herself, while this smaller character is watching, right? So it's almost like this unseen source of power is behind it, is orchestrating this turn of events for the Titanic. All right, so if this was a crime, let's say against the world, for money or Federal Reserve Bank, I'm going to go ahead and go in with the murder mystery cards. Because honestly, if it's true, if the conspiracy is true, then this was a giant case of murder. So I'm going to shuffle this deck 3 times, cut the deck, draw a card, and then I'll repeat that 3 times. But this is regarding the event of the sinking of the Titanic. Dating history or killer knew of victim. So, if you did watch the previous video regarding the conspiracy around the sinking of the Titanic, then to me, this is basically showing the people involved in the killing, the mass killing, actually knew of the victim that they were targeting, right? So if you watch that video, that makes sense. Interviews with relatives or friends may provide valuable clues, which is a little late for that, right? But what this is saying is if people were to be speaking of this or interviewing the correct people, they might have figured this out quite some time ago, right? But it was all just marked as a huge accident where a well-known captain just wrecked into an iceberg. Victim didn't know the killer? Well, yeah, because those rich men were baited onto the Titanic ship by J.P. Morgan. So at the time, the victim had no idea that this was a plot against them, right? So of course, the victim didn't know the killer. Didn't know that the killer was a killer, in my opinion. And in the cards. All right. Okay. The Page of Cups is, I was looking at this Page of Cups and I realized that the page is actually wearing a fish on his head as well. And so, I mean, to everyone else, this fish coming out of the cup, the thing that is emotional here would be surprising to most people. They're not expecting a fish to come out of their cup, right? But this guy, he's all dressed up like a fish. And he's like scratching the fish's chin as if it's his little pet. So I really do feel that the cards here are indicating that while many people were taken by surprise, there's definitely some knowledge of this event before the event actually took place. All right, so tell us about the sinking of the Titanic. Okay. All right, so we have tunnel. When I see this, I always hear the word tunnel vision in my mind because that's what I heard again this time. Tunnel vision. This was some sort of tunnel vision. Someone wanting exactly what it is that they want and willing to go to any length to get it. Accomplice / partner in crime. So could it be that the accomplice here is the Federal Reserve, the people involved with the Federal Reserve, and J.P. Morgan? In fact, if you went and watched that conspiracy video about the Titanic and the Federal Reserve, you would know that there are other accomplices that are quite possibly involved as well. And so this would also include people in Congress who pushed it through on Christmas Eve. And it could also include a multitude of other people, all the way down to the captain of the ship. Then we have home and cult. So I do have the sense that, like, home is here because, like, some of those people, the passengers on the Titanic ship, were simply trying to go home. And then we got cult because it's almost like that's the other part of the ship here. We have this cult-like following going on. We have cult-like brainwashing, cult-like techniques being used, right? And what is most often used in cults? Mind control, brainwashing of the masses, you know, the spinning of information in favor of the cult, for instance. That's just for instance. All right, so if this was a situation of tunnel vision with multiple partners in crime against the people trying to get home, tell us more. Tell us anything, like why would they want to do this? We got bioweapon. Whoa, can't see it. I feel like bioweapon card is because they used an event that seems natural to fulfill this need, right? Similar to what happened in 2020. Yeah. We have intergalactic travel. I definitely see this whenever it's like certain people in power are trying to impose their views upon others, like a mass mind control, right? Intergalactic travel. So it's like breaking through dimensions of mind to tell your story. Kind of like in the image, there's a circle around this bunch of rocks, right? So the intergalactic travel is like a form of creating a certain awareness around a certain situation. And with that, we got corruption next to trapped. All of those people were literally trapped in that ship to die in the middle of the Atlantic due to this extreme corruption. So this extreme corruption having to do with basically the energy of a bioweapon and intergalactic travel. So I do feel like it's definitely almost like a planned event full of corruption, trapping those baited onto the ship. All right, what else about the sinking of the Titanic? Yeah, burial. All those people are buried at the bottom of the sea, along with the, you know, the richest men alive at the time. Oh, and look at that. We got desert and imprisonment. If you've watched my videos, then you know that the desert card, my symbol for the desert is like Area 51. So it's this idea that they're trying to show one thing, but they're saying it's another, right? So that is the energy of the desert card as far as I'm concerned. And with that, we got imprisonment. So I feel like we're all imprisoned in this narrative that they've created for us, right? It's an imprisonment in that Area 51 energy. We got the success card. I think in general, their plan that they wanted really was a very huge success. Because for 100 years, the majority of the people, both in the United States and across the Atlantic, all agree that the Titanic sank simply because it hit an iceberg. But the real truth, the hidden truth, the corrupt truth is so much deeper than that. So much deeper. All right. Is there anything else that we should know? Reptilian. We also got this one. Fell on the floor. Crossroad. Okay, so I do feel like when I see the reptilian, I see this as like the bad guys, right? in my mind, this is my symbol for the bad guys. Those in power who want to have control over the rest of the people. They had a decision to make here, and that's what they did. And it was a success for them. They were able to put through their evil plan just in time for Christmas in 1913. Anything else about the Titanic? Too many flipped over. Oh, I hate it when it all fell on the floor. Top secret. This was classified top secret. We already know this. There were 4 more that fell down over here. So, along with this top secret, we got these 4 that fell on the ground. Underwater. Oh my gosh, look at this. Debt. Cleanup. Wooded area. I feel like the cleanup is so confusing. It's like being lost in the woods, right? We have no idea of what they were doing to our financial system. Underwater could also have a double meaning of being like out of our focus, right? So the people had no idea that this was a plan. Obviously, it was top secret. But it was all about our debt, getting rid of servicing the debt and all this. But all the people who opposed it, all of the powerful, rich men who are Americans who opposed it, were trapped on that ship. And they are now buried underwater. They could no longer voice their opinion against the Federal Reserve. Let's see if any messages want to come out of this deck. Here we go. Sinking of the Titanic. That one's way over there. I just I'm having issues. Okay. That was one we already had. I just knocked it off. All right. So what just came out, we had escapade. So it says here, vacation, hideaway, adventure, right? So this date to meet on the ship, to have this very special meeting of the smart, powerful, rich men in the world at the time. This escapade. All right. Well, crickets. We got silence and non-action on that little meeting. Because again, if you haven't yet, go back and watch the video I made called What Does the Titanic and the Federal Reserve Have to Do with One Another? It's because that meeting, the meeting of minds on the Titanic, never happened. J.P. Morgan got off the ship. Also, J.P. Morgan is insatiable. He had an unquenchable need for more money. He didn't care. He did not care about the countless lives that were on that ship. In fact, the more lives, the better. Because to him, it added all the more power and strength of what he was trying to do, spiritually speaking. We also got journal, writing, diary, keeping notes. So I wonder if there's something written, something that was recorded that could possibly be sitting at the bottom of the ocean right now as well. Kind of like as a double reason for sinking the Titanic, possibly. All right, anything else from this deck? And final message. I think electricity just went out. My light's out, but I can still record, so I'm going to keep going. See if there's any final messages before we end it. Ooh. Okay, well, the cards just spilled on the floor, and the electricity just went out in my house. So I think that's pretty much the end of the message, okay? So as a quick review, the cards said that there is a history between the killer and the victim, right? Because it says dating history. It doesn't necessarily have to be about dating. There was a history between the killer and the victim. The victim being those men who were supposed to be meeting for that important meeting, but nothing ever came of it on the Titanic. Yeah, that's what this card's talking about. Then we have interview with relatives or friends may provide clues. So I'm sure that there are people out there who know of this meeting and who could have spoken on behalf of the people involved, right? We also have victim didn't know the killer, meaning that the victim had no idea that they were just walking into a literal trap, a trap of corruption. Had no idea. The Hermit reversed because I do feel as though there's more than just JP Morgan involved in the planning of this. We had the Six of Wands reversed, Nine of Pentacles reversed. The ship never had a successful voyage, never returned to home. And there was a sense of impatience involved in this situation, which even if there is that sense of impatience, even in the narrative we were just fed, as the public, because they were trying to say they wanted the Titanic to be the strongest, but also the fastest. So part of that programming that we were given regarding the sinking of the Titanic is that there was this sense of urgency to get to America quickly, right? At least that's the story we've been told. We had the Queen of Wands who just doesn't care what people think at all, but she came out reversed, remember? So I feel like there's this sense of knowing that they have to worry about what other people think, right? So they knew that as they turn this fate, this Wheel of Fortune on all those unsuspecting victims of the Titanic, it's like they knew this all along. It wasn't sad or surprising to them because it was like planned, in my opinion, according to those cards. We had Tunnel. So accomplice, partner in crime, and Tunnel. So these people who had planned this takedown, right, of some of the world's wealthiest people. This takedown was planned by multiple people with one thing in mind. They had complete one-track mind, and that was to get the Federal Reserve in the United States. It's a cult-like following, right? We got bioweapon with intergalactic travel. I just totally feel like this just means that we are given a certain narrative based on this event, similar to like the COVID thing in 2020. It's a form of mind control to not get to the bottom of the truth of what was going on, right? We already looked again at the corruption and trapped card. We know they're trapped. We are all imprisoned in their narrative. They're showing us one thing, but doing another. Yeah, so I do feel that this had to do with debt. We know that based on the conspiracy, It's top secret, obviously. This meeting on the Titanic between these men was top secret. In fact, they planned it at Jekyll Island, which only housed the people that were to know of it. This was all simply a cleanup. It was a way to get all of the ones who were not for them, all the ones who were against them are wiped out now. So it was a success. They did have to make this decision hastily, but they did. They being those evil people in charge. All right. And I think that pretty much wraps it up for this Titanic tarot reading. And now I got to go figure out what happened to the power in my house before it gets very, very hot in here. So thank you all so much for being here. Be sure to click the like button on this video so that more people can see it, as many as possible. And of course, if you're a viewer but not yet a subscriber, I would love for you to click subscribe down below. And once you have subscribed, you can turn on the notifications bell if you would like to be notified each and every time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your time with me. I love you. And And I'll see you next time. Bye.